Nation's #1 DJ, DJ Rockwell.
Yo, this is Apocalypse, the lyrical warner, hip-hop revelator. And you rockin' with the nation's #1 DJ, DJ Rockwell, you understand me?
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we are here. We are in the building. It's the weekend, and you tune in to the Rockwell Radio Show. What's good? What's good? What's good? Assalamu alaikum, and welcome once again to another episode of the Rockwell Radio Show. I tell you what, as I always say around this time, we want everybody, somebody, anybody to go ahead and follow the 3 steps of the Rockwell Radio Show. Hit that like and share button. Tag somebody that wants to be a part of this great conversation tonight. And above all, if you're watching on YouTube, either on the Rockwell Radio Show platform, or even if you are watching on the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network platform, we're asking everybody to subscribe and join the Rockwell Radio Show family today. Big Dave, what a show we got lined up today. I've been waiting on this one, y'all. I have been waiting to talk to this brother for quite some time. In just a few minutes, I'm going to go into the reason why. We want everybody, again, as you come in the room, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new here at the Rockwell Radio Show, we're here every weekend, sometimes Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, mostly Saturdays. You can find us on the air. And my brother, Big Dave, and I, the producer of the show, we formed the Rockwell Radio Show to do 2 things: to celebrate the culture of hip hop. We came up during the golden era of the music, the golden era where the music meant something powerful, and it absolutely inspired a generation of young Black people in America and around the world. This show also serves the purpose of advocating and propagating the life-saving and life-changing teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let me give that a hand. So when we combine these 2 things, you get what we call the Rockwell Radio Show. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. We ask everybody to subscribe, join on, tag somebody. Now, for the last several weeks, we've been enjoying and celebrating Hip Hop 50. The 50th anniversary of hip hop, and it's only appropriate that we continue to do that with our guest tonight. And again, in a moment, you'll see why. But I want to start, before I introduce our brother, by talking about how I always come on and I introduce myself as the nation's #1 DJ. Perhaps it's inappropriate for me to say that, considering who's present with us tonight. I can say that we came out with the term NOI hip hop, but I only came in the nation in 1996. There were people doing hip hop in the nation before Brother Vaughn. There was DJs scratching the records and doing breakbeats before Brother Vaughn. So tonight we're going to bring forth one such brother that was NOI hip hop before we even have it or gave it a name. Dave, so what are we talking about?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, y'all about to witness my main man, Brother Arthur, from the FOI. Represent. Hit it. Hit it, Sam.
Black people unite and let's all get.
Everybody put up the black power fist right now.
Yeah.
If you proud to be black in 9-5, put your hands up in the air. And I want everybody to pump your fist like this. Everybody pump your fist. Now when I ask you what time is it, you say nation time, all right?
A couple of Savior's days ago, Big Dave, real quick story before I introduce the brother. We're at the social, and Brother Minister Arthur is rocking the spot. And you know, as DJs, we sit in the back of the room and be like, we this is how we are. I don't care if any DJ says different, they lying to you. I'm sitting in the back watching brother, you know, and we have this, we can't even enjoy ourselves because in the back of our mind, we're critiquing the DJ. So I'm watching brother and he is killing it, you know, and I'm gonna tell you how humble brother is. I walk up to introduce myself and give brother the greetings after the, you know, like midway part of the set. And he says, "Oh, brother, you want to get on?" I said, "No, sir, dear brother. You killed it. There's nothing I can bring to the table." And as we introduce our brother, we start the applause now, Big Dave. This brother comes from hip hop culture, born and raised. He don't play about this. He's authentic about this. This brother came to the ranks in 1988 to serve his people and serve in this great mission of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The mission of resurrection is what I'm referring to. Let me keep the applause going now. To the DJ world, he has known as DJ Aslam, but to us who are registered Muslims in the Nation of Islam, he is known as the New York representative of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. I'm referring to my brother from New York, Harlem's own student minister, Arthur Muhammad. There he is. There he is. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, big brother? And much love to you and your listening audience. And shout out to brother Dave in the background.
Oh, brother, honored to have you. Again, I've been waiting on this conversation quite a while. Like I said, I like to say the term number one DJ brother, but that title truly is yours. So
man,
when you're not using that, I'll pretend to use it now and then.
Let's share it, brother, because you are. I've seen you. I've seen you scratch. I've seen your turntablism, and you are my superior when it comes to that. And so I respect the skill of DJing turntablism. So let's share that term.
Allahu Akbar, brother. Again, welcome to the Rockwell Radio Show. And if you're just tuning in, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that share button. Don't miss a moment. Tag somebody. This is DJ Rockwell, and on with me is my brother, student minister Arthur Muhammad, and we're live from New York City right now, y'all. Let's just dive right into it, dear brother. I got so much to cover in such little time. Let's start by asking this. As I said in the introduction, you come from hip hop authentically. You're not just a passerby of the culture. You were someone who truly experienced it, lived all. However, you could tell us better than I can, and we're going to get into that. You had an experience from coming from the Zulu Nation. Please share with us this. What did you learn from that experience, and how did it prepare you to come and serve in the Nation of Islam?
Man, excellent. Let me just start back with my history first. I first heard hip hop in 1976. I first experienced it. Some brothers from the Bronx came and did a block party where I live in Mount Vernon, right across the street from the Bronx, New York. I decided to embrace hip hop as an artist, as a rapper, not an artist, because in the 70s, in 1977, there was nobody making rap records.
Right.
But it was about the street. It was about the park. And so by 1981, 82, I joined the Zulu Nation. The group that I was with was affiliates with the Zulu Nation. And then I, began to go to Bronx River, which is the headquarters of the Zulu Nation. What I learned in the Zulu Nation is I learned togetherness, brotherhood. That's where I learned my knowledge of self, culture. They gave me my first set of supreme wisdom lessons. I learned about the continent of Africa.
Come on.
I learned to respect and love for our Latino brothers and sisters, particularly our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters, because the Puerto Rican presence in hip hop is a story that's not told much, but they were the original break dancers and
That's
graffiti
right.
artists.
That's right.
So the presence of the Puerto Rican brothers and sisters and them feeling home is a beautiful thing. So Zulu Nation certainly was the springboard for me joining the Nation of Islam.
Come on now, ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to the Rockwell Radio Show. With us tonight is my brother, our brother, student minister, author Muhammad. And we're talking about Hip Hop 50. We're talking about our experiences and much, much more. Tell me, dear brother, at what moment did you fall in love with hip hop? What moment did you fall in love with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? And did you think or feel at any point that the feeling was similar in how you felt connected to these two entities?
Well, I first fell in love with hip hop back in 1976 when I seen brothers on a microphone projecting their voice and DJs rocking the jams that our parents played, and they were extending the beats, the break part of the beats, and just the vibration. It was young people. We were 13, 12, 11. It was a forum that had never been established before. The adults weren't into it, so we made up the rules as it went on. And so
Right.
I definitely wanted to dive and be a part of this burgeoning culture and just vibration. When I joined the Nation of Islam, I knew it was divine destiny, because I did not necessarily want religion. I just wanted to help the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I heard the Caucasians, the Jews attacking this man. And, at that time, I started listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1984,
Right.
when I heard him defend our brother Jackson, who was running for president from the attacks. It's the first time that I've heard. I was a big fan. And I
Right.
saw this man defend Jesse, which I've never seen. Press conference. It led me to get my first lecture of the minister from Rutgers University, 1984. And so I was a Farrakhan fan. I wanted to be a soldier of Minister Farrakhan, but I didn't necessarily want Islam because I was a Christian. And it was in the Zulu Nation that they begin to challenge me lovingly about my knowledge in Christianity. And when I could not defeat them, then I started being more intrigued, from listening to lectures to getting the message to the man, and getting a Holy Quran and learning more. But my epiphany moment was when I was in college. Probably was 1985 at that time. And I learned about the triangular slave trade. And they said that 85% of all slaves came from Western Africa, and they were Muslim.
How
So
about
I'm
that?
in this Catholic college looking at Catholic statues and figurines, studying theology from the Catholic Bible. And I'm saying, wow, 85% of my ancestors who were slaves came from Africa, and they were Muslims. I need to know more about my culture. And so that led me on my quest to join the Nation of Islam, ultimately about 3 years later.
Wow. Wow. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. In the house with us right now, Minister Arthur Muhammad, student representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Harlem, New York, Mosque number 7. Now, I want to read this question verbatim because it's very important here. Brother Arthur, we've all heard the minister tell the story when he was a young Muslim just joining the nation, and the word came down from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that all musicians had to make a choice. To quote Black Sheep, it was either this or that. We all know, obviously, what choice the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made. And we are all here as a result of his choice. Did you personally ever feel when you came into the nation that you had to make a certain kind of choice like that between your love for hip hop and your love for the teachings?
No, never was a challenge at all because DJing, or at that time I was a rapper. Rapping is what I did, but a Muslim, a FOI was who I am. I was at the time. And the same thing today. I still spin, I still DJ. I've made a living DJing. I was blessed to graduate children DJing. And the thought came across my mind that I may be asked in this capacity to relax the wax bars. And and I would do it in a heartbeat because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan changed my life. I owe him a debt of gratitude, and the way I pay that debt is by dedicating my life, my prayer, my sacrifice, for Allah, but for his apostle in our midst. And so I would do it in a heartbeat. I've already prepared in my mind for that call. He didn't get the preparation. So we learn from his story and we see how the world has benefited from that choice because he focused the same acumen, the same discipline, the same paying attention to detail that he did with music. He put it to ministry. And so, a couple of years ago, one of the finest lectures that I think the minister ever did was that Swan song.
Yeah.
And we saw his musical ministry, the way he was able to paint a picture, the way he was able to syncopate, project, the way he had, the minister's a bad man. So
say it again, come on.
I'm Team Farrakhan, brother.
All the way. Ladies and gentlemen, in the house with us tonight is Minister Farrakhan's New York representative, student minister, Arthur Muhammad. We are up against the break, and we'll be back with more of our brother right after this.
What up with it, man? You already know what time it is. It's me, Young Kinda Don. I'm up in this thing.
This is Aziz, the kid Kareem, the life-giving MC.
Peace, everyone. This is Brother Anthony K. Muhammad, also known as A-Tone, the hip-hop historian.
Peace, family. What's going on? It's Brother Gabriel, Brother Mustafa, Lordship Productions in the building.
I am your sister, Arian Nicole. Peace, peace, peace. It's your sister, Sue Axel. You're watching the Rockwell Radio Show.
You are now tuned in live to the Rockwell Radio Show.
Right now, you're listening to Rockwell Radio Show.
Rockwell Radio. If you ain't listening, man, you wasting time. You on all these other stations, you need to tap in. Rockwell Radio.
You know what it is. Watch him, watch him, watch him.
I'm here with Brother Rockwell, the Rockwell Radio Show.
You ain't in the game, you in the stand. Stop playing, man. Let's go.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Brothers and sisters, we're back. This is DJ Rockwell, and you are tuned into the Rockwell Radio Show. Come on in the room. Let us know where you're watching from. Please do all the 3 steps of the Rockwell Radio Show, and that means hit the like and share button. That means tag somebody who's watching along, and we're asking everybody to subscribe today. Join us on the Rockwell Radio Show platform. Join us on the Closing the Gap platform. We would love to have you. So you can tune in and be sure to turn on the notification button. So when there's shows like this, you can be down with us. Brother Minister, let's keep going. We opened the show, Brother Minister, with your clip of a live performance from 1995. You had the whole crowd shouting, "What time is it? Nation time." When you look back at that era, the message, of course, was Black empowerment. The message, of course, was knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It was dominant. In fact, some would say that that kind of a messaging was mainstream in 88, 89, 90, and so forth. Do you think that it's even remotely possible that that kind of messaging can make its way back to mainstream hip hop today?
Man, excellent question. The reason why knowledge of self was permeated on rap tracks is because knowledge of self was available and accessible, and it was cool. The gods made the teachings cool and acceptable. The Muslims made it acceptable.
Right.
So, when we understandably criticize our drill artists, our trap artists, the only reason why they are so entrenched in that lyrical content is, for the most part, that's what they know, that is what is accepted. They don't have knowledge of self. What made Tupac, though he was a gangster rapper, what was it about him that he spoke Black consciousness? Because that was in his upbringing. So the fault is not on our drill rappers alone. The fault is on us for not connecting to the drill rappers. It's on us for not going to the hip hop scene and befriending them, because if you give a person an angle, they will speak that particular truth. So is there opportunity for that to come back? I truly believe that the conditions have to warrant it. It's very easy to talk about your riches when you are getting rich. But when things slow down, when your people begin to suffer, I think that kind of changes the content a bit. But as long as things are the same, I think that they're going to push the envelope even more. And if you listen to the content from our young artists today, it gets raunchier and raunchier, racier and racier, ratcheter and ratcheter.
Come on, brother, with that ratchet. My God. In fact, you just touched a question I'm going to ask later on in the show as well. But let me ask you this. Of course, as mentioned in the opening, we're celebrating and acknowledging here on the Rockwell Radio Show the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So again, let's give that a round of applause as we talk about this great culture of ours and its potential and what it can do for our people. So there's different schools of thought on the history of this art and this culture, of course. But one thing that people agree on across the board is that the DJ is the heart and backbone of hip hop culture. So, if you will, share with us, what is the DJ Islam origin story?
Wow. I started DJing, meaning no longer MCing. I started DJing about 13, 14 years ago. It was because at the mosque, we would have programming. And in the programming, you'd have beautiful food. You have a wonderful program. The spoken word would be on point, but the music was always the afterthought. They would hire a DJ, and he would come with either age inappropriate music or content inappropriate music. And I always collected music digitally. This is when LimeWire was out and CDs were out. So I always had a laptop full of music. And so one day, I think we might have had a poetry slam. And I said, listen, I want to do the musical backdrop. I have the music. And the Muslims were in the mosque jamming. I mean, wow. And they was like, brother, can you do this again? So I decided just to get some equipment, and I was going to be the mosque's DJ.
Right.
And one thing led to another. Someone was looking for a DJ. I could do it, and then the next one, and then the more people that hear me, I mean, brother, I've DJ'd, of course, in Detroit and Chicago. That believers fly me into Atlanta to do weddings, and I do up and down the East Coast. You know, I've DJ'd. So from what started in the mosque, because I didn't want us to be corny, I wanted us to have fun. It actually came into a career by the grace of Allah.
You've told the story before, but just for the sake of telling it again on the Rockwell Radio Show, Dave, I'm just going off script for a moment, Dave. Tell us the story of you getting the call from our beloved teacher, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, to come DJ for him.
Wow. This was actually through his daughter, Sister BJ. She called me, it might have been June 27th, and she said, you know, Brother Arthur, I'm sorry to call you at the last minute. My mom and dad are organizing something for the family, and we need a DJ. And I said, Dad, this is what she said, Dad, where are we gonna find a DJ at the last minute? You know, because we're talking about July 4th. And he said to her, call Brother Arthur. He DJs. And when she told me, I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I was ready to, do our celebration that we had for New York.
Mhm.
But trust me, I'm Team New York. But I was in shy. I was in the shy,
That
and
day.
it was just an honor. And it was the minister's family, and so often when the minister comes out, his family has to share him with us.
Right.
And they're used to it. But this day, they had dad, granddad, great granddad all to themselves.
Come
So
on.
to be able to provide the musical backdrop for a very peaceful and serene time and day, it was one of the honors of my life.
Mm. Brothers, round of applause for the nation's number one DJ. I'm telling you, y'all, it don't get no better than that. When you get a chance to spin for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, y'all, I tell you what, were you nervous?
No, because it wasn't my first time. It was my third time spinning in front of the minister. But the first time I was truly, truly nervous because I didn't expect him to come. I had did two of his granddaughters' weddings receptions, and when he came in, I was like, man, I was listening and projecting the lyrics. You know what? I'm gonna cut this on the second verse because
Right.
third verse they turn up a little bit, and but I was just really honored. But I was very psyched. I was going over mixes in my head and direction, but it was totally powerful event, brother.
What a story. I've heard you tell it before on other platforms, but I at least wanted to hear it again. What a story. Dear brother, just like you are not new to hip hop, obviously, as we've been talking about, you're not new to DJing, as we just talked about. We're going to get into some of your ministerial aspect at this point. You're not new to the ministry also. You have soldiered, Brother Arthur, under some of Number Seven's best legends. You've soldiered under some of the brothers like Minister Conrad. You've soldiered under Dr. Khaled, alongside Dr. Khaled, Brother Benjamin, and of course, may Allah be forever pleased with our brother, Minister Hafiz Muhammad. You've soldiered under some of the best. So the question I want to ask you, if you can share with us, tell us some of the things that you have adopted or learned from some of them or all of them, if you have something that has made you more prepared to better serve in the capacity in which you do today.
The greatest advice ministerially that I ever received from that pantheon of New York ministers was actually from our dear brother Benjamin Chavis. One day I asked him to evaluate me. I wanted to know how I was doing. And he said, brother, you're strong. You teach, you rapid fire. When you talk, your message hits the head. He says, but I'm concerned that after it hits the head, does it trickle down to the heart? Give
Wow.
facts, you give figures, you're fierce, but does it want to make the people change? And it caused me to evaluate what was my premise, what was my motive, just to drop jewels or to inspire people to do better. And
Listen.
so that helped me tremendously. I learned from Brother Conrad the benefit of presenting yourself in a clean and articulate way.
Yes, sir.
I learned from Brother Khalid fearlessness, leaving it all on the court, all in the boxing ring, all on the gym
Come
for
on.
Farrakhan, being unafraid to speak the truth without fear of contradiction, without fear of reprisal. And from our dear brother Hafiz, his work ethic was second to none.
Listen.
First at the mark, last to leave. Top three, guests, charity. His mind was on the mission. His mission was on the mind. He came into the Nation of Islam at 17 years old. So he didn't have an opportunity to go to the hip hop jams. He didn't have an opportunity to, be in the streets like that. So he was a member of the Nation of Islam for all of his adult life. So I learned a work ethic from him.
Wow. Let me give a round of applause to everybody on that slide. They all served. They all helped. They all fought. They all bled. They gave it all, as brother just said, on the battlefield to further the cause of Islam in the city of New York. And again, this applause is for them. So obviously, and I just want to tack this question on, Big Dave, if you'll allow me real quick, about our dear brother, student minister Hafiz, and again, may Allah be forever pleased. Can you share a story of our brother and his work and what he meant to the people of New York City?
When Brother Benjamin Muhammad or Chavis was relieved, and brother at that time, his name was Brother Kevin Muhammad, he was over the Brooklyn Mosque. And they had just built the Brooklyn Mosque. And he was asked to come to New York City to be the minister of Mosque number 7. Obviously, that's the big prize, but for him to leave the brothers and sisters in Brooklyn for a mosque that he established to help get Mosque number 7 in Harlem back on his feet was a big feat because, our brother was the minister when I first came in 1988. And by 1990, Brother Khalid was the minister. And by 92, Conrad was the minister. And by 97-ish, Brother Benjamin was the minister. And brother was passed over. He was passed over. Because each one of those brothers brought an element to the front that he didn't. But he did not become bitter to the point where he took his ball and left.
Beautiful.
So he was sure-footed, steady as it goes.
Come on.
Total line, work hard minister. He was a blue-collar minister.
Listen.
And so I learned, obviously, for the last 10 years of his life, I was his personal assistant, and I never questioned his seriousness or his love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So may Allah forever be pleased with him and continue to bless his wife, Sister Lorraine, and their children and their grandchildren.
Long live Muhammad. Long live Muhammad. Dear brother, we're coming up on our second break, but I want to squeeze in one more question before we do that. Since we're talking about your service there at Muhammad Mosque number 7, congratulations to you and the work you did with the rehab of that mosque there. I've seen the photos and I was absolutely blown away by the facelift that Muhammad Mosque number 7 has received. Now, although I saw the photos and I saw the work, I saw the montage video that's on the YouTube channel, blown away by that. But the thing that I want to focus on for this question is the impact that that work had on the spirit of the believers. We saw in this quick pick, you leading the believers down the street in a parade. And if I'm correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it was this day that was the grand reopening day, if I'm correct.
That is correct.
It was on this day you led the believers back into their new home. Please tell us about this day.
You know, it was a beautiful day because it was a culmination of months of hard work. Shout out to the laborers for backing me on the vision. Shout out to Captain Magic, who was the operations manager, if you will, ensuring that all skilled workers came on time, gave an honest day's work, and went above and beyond with the completion of our vision. We were meeting in Queens because we totally shut the mosque down. We were meeting in Queens, and we were for July, August, September, October, and then we moved back in November to see the smiles and the cheers and the joy from the believers for, giving the mosque a sorely needed facelift after about 25 years of, Band-Aid. The mosque served us well while it did. It's the historic Muhammad Mosque number 7, but now it is an edifice fitting for receiving our people to hear the word of God. But as I reminded the believers that if we have a beautiful mosque, but with a foul spirit from the believers, then we would be like the whited sepulchres, which are edifices that are beautiful, but filled with the bones and the stench of dead men.
Come on. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, with us tonight on the Rockwell Radio Show is my brother and yours, student, minister, author, Muhammad. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's representative of Muhammad Mosque number 7. And
Let me jump in.
Oh, yes, sir.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does not like us utilizing or using that term representative, because to represent him means that we not only represent the word, but we represent his spirit, we represent his morals to that degree. We're student ministers, and we're striving to uphold and represent. He definitely is the benchmark. He is that which we are striving to get, but we're not there. And when we use that term, I don't want to receive it in error. So student minister, brother, father,
Understood. And I imagine, and I say this in all sincerity, and first of all, thank you for that beautiful correction. I imagine that there is no bigger challenge to put on the armor of God and serve in that capacity, especially in a city as historic as that.
No, indeed, brother, the bar is so high. The minister is, and you may have heard me say this, he is more than what Michael Jordan was to the sports world, the minister in the spiritual world. in the world of humanity. And so just to be a helper of his is an awesome and daunting task, because you don't want to disappoint the minister. Right. And it's not out of it, you fear just getting him upset because he's given us so much. You just want to give back to the minister. You want to show your love by your works. And so I want everything to be right, but in the moving parts of Moss life, region life, some things don't necessarily work out the same. You just try to be a scientist. But the beautiful thing, as a student minister, I have some wonderful laborers. I truly do. Captain Majid, Sister Jonna, Secretary Stephen, our protocol director, as well as Captain Richard, our local captain. They have guided me and have counseled me, and it's a beautiful marriage. And I can bring my ideas and my vision, and we flush it out, and then we move together in unity. It's a beautiful, beautiful vibration. I love my laborers.
Brother, thank you for that great tweak. I love you for saying that, because it reminds us, and I'm going to say this and I move on. It reminds us that in the kingdom of God, the person who sweeps the floor is just as blessed as a person who stands behind the rostrum.
No, you're absolutely right. I realize that I of myself can do nothing. And as a laboring staff, we can do nothing if there's a bottleneck. If the information gets lost in the neck and doesn't get to the body of the bottle, then things won't happen. And so I continue to strive to treat the believers with love and respect. How can you, the minister asked, how can you show gratitude towards God whom you've never seen, but you don't show gratitude to those who God put in your life as a blessing? For us, it's the believers. So I treat them right. And many times they don't care about how much you know. They just want to know how much you care. And if it's genuine, because New York, we're a city of readers. We're a city of intuition, discernment. And if they feel that you are not sincere, if they feel that you have some which is me motives, they will hold their hands. But if they know that you will go hard in the paint with your money, if need be with your fists, with your representation, with your time, with your sacrifice, they say, I got your back. And that's what we're experiencing in New York City. All praise is due to Allah.
Forever and forever. You tune into the Rockwell Radio Show. We're up against the break. This is DJ Rockwell, that's student minister, author, and we will be right back. Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Vaughn Muhammad of the Rockwell Radio Show. For years, I've been hearing the same thing from a lot of people. Brother Vaughn and DJ Rockwell are completely two different people. So I came up with a way to separate the both of us, and perhaps we can get along better if we try it this way. Introducing DJ Rockwell. What we're going to try to do is do this together and not get on one another's nerves. Every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, check out your brother Vaughn Muhammad and this guy, DJ Rockwell.
to the NOI Hip Hop Network.
You already know what it is.
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is DJ Rockwell. You tune in to the Rockwell Radio Show. My guest is my dear brother, student minister Arthur Muhammad is with us tonight. If you're just joining us, let us know where you're watching from. And by all means, we ask all people, all watchers, all listeners to go ahead and follow the 3 steps. That means hit the like and share button. That means tag someone and subscribe. Whether you're watching on the platform of the Rockwell Radio Show or our newly affiliated family, our new family, which is the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. We thank you all for joining us. Brother, we're in the last stretch here. And thank you again for this wonderful conversation, Brother Minister. I appreciate it. Thank you. I lost your audio.
No, we good. I just say thank you, brother. I'm very honored. Congratulations for joining the Closing the Gap Network. I see what Brother James and Sister Starla are building a communications juggernaut. And for your show to be on there, it's a very beautiful thing.
And I'm so honored, more than honored. Let's run through the finish line with these last couple of questions, dear brother. In a recent episode of this podcast, I had on 4 student ministers, and I titled that particular episode The Symphony. The Symphony. It featured my brother, student minister Dimitri. It featured student minister Abdul Haq, student minister Troy, and from New Orleans, our brother, student minister Willie. Give them a round of applause. We had a great conversation. You, of course, should have been a part of that symphony, but it didn't work out for whatever reason, but we have you here now, for which we thank Allah. Now, in that conversation, student minister Abdul Haq said something that I thought was quite profound. He cited a scripture from the Bible that I thought was absolutely profound. He cited this from the book of Ecclesiastes. He cited, "It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools." I thought that was absolutely interesting. It made me think about we who may call ourselves the wise and what our true responsibility is. And I want to ask you this question as a result. Thanks, Dave. When we look at the state of hip hop that we see it in today, almost 50 years later, can we lay the blame at our feet, those of us who say we're the OGs, for failing to rebuke the current generation for what we hear on the radio today?
Not at all, because rebuke is never the way. Hold on.
I lost your video there, bro. There we go.
Not at all. Rebuke in the sense of rebuke is never the way. Guidance is the way, so teaches the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think that the hidden hand, the Jewish owned, Jewish controlled, Jewish influence aspect that changed hip hop from culture to industry, we need to shine a light on that. Listen to the rap songs, even in the golden era. You said you came in the golden era. Burt Badell, right? He was everybody's accountant. Most of them are broke now, right? Jacob the jeweler, right?
Call him out.
Jewish jewel, right? You had Tommy Boy Records. I made my first record in 1984 on Tommy Boy Records. Tom Silverman, Leor Cohen. So the list of Jew was the one in with NWA, Jerry
Helen.
Hell, right. See, so what happens is they were tight with each other and they found a way to control us. Unfortunately, many the more successful black people learned the game from them, and they became what Brother Khalid would say, blacker crackers. They would exploit their own, people that they got. But my point is that this what they're doing is being encouraged.
Listen,
It's being encouraged, and we have to look at the hidden hand. And what we have to do, see, if we rebuke them, we will totally lose them. There's already a generational divide. Many young artists today, they don't feel the same enthusiasm about the 50th anniversary of hip hop than those who were there maybe in the first trimester or in that first half. They kind of feel that they're doing what they're doing and, leave me alone. They don't want to have anything to do with some of the older people. So because there's a generational divide, a rebuke and this particular point might not be the best. We have to befriend, guide, share, help, and show that we love. And then I think that we'll be in a better position to give wisdom or counsel, where it says old men for counsel, young men for war.
Beautiful. Let me give that answer a hand. Wow. Beautifully spoken, sir. Absolutely. Let's wind down with these last two questions, Brother Minister. We have a mutual brother in the DJ world, it turns out. I know him from my hometown of St. Louis. You know him from your New York. And when I reached out to the brother to tell him that I'd be talking to you, he was just overjoyed. And you already know who I'm talking about.
DJ Cut.
My brother. Shout out to DJ Cut. And of course, he sends you the greetings. And when I told him I'd be speaking with you, he said, oh, well, make sure that you bring up this particular record that our brother gave us. I want to play a 4-bar clip from this record that you gave us back in 1994. Watch this.
Just because I'm down with the FOI, that don't mean I won't be your brother till the day that I die. I was born black just like you, caught up in a cycle, just like they did to my man Michael Jackson, Tyson, and Jordan. It goes to show you it don't matter if you important. See, they be distorted because we ain't nothing in their eyes, and we can't rise until we get organized.
Wow. That record is crazy. That goes, as they say, that goes hard in the paint. Now, that was almost 30 years ago.
Yes.
What would you say, or let me rephrase, the message that we just heard you say in those quick 4 bars, or for that matter, the whole song, if you had to rewrite that song today, would you say it any differently?
I wouldn't change a word. There are certain songs that you hear that you've never heard before. And when you find out that that song was made 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that song epitomizes a classic. A classic is timeless. And that work was probably my most timeless piece. And it brings back the whole gritty 90s vibe. And then the lyrical content was beautiful. I remember at the time that song was out, 94, 95, it was being played on the top 3 major New York radio stations.
Wow.
Hot 97, Kiss FM, and WBLS. In fact, the great Ralph McDaniels did the video from Video Music Box. They do a quick drive-by on he did a Showtime documentary, and I'm in there. Shows him interviewing me. And then there's a great clip on YouTube with Lauryn Hill. I don't know if you ever saw it, and J. Rue the Damager.
I've seen it.
That's when hip hop was very conscious in New York. Going back to your point, you could grab any MC and he could tell you who the original man was, even if he
Come
wasn't
on.
living it. Even if he wasn't living it, we knew. And even if you had a gangster rapper, he always had one or two conscious tracks on there. But it's hard to find today. It's like a needle in a haystack.
Hello.
Hard to find. And as a DJ, you know, for me, it's low frequency music, so I don't play it. And if they ask me, I have to play the instrumental. If they just want to hear that beat, the beat is hard. That drill beat is hard, but
Indeed.
the lyrics. So sometimes I have to take an acapella from another song and put it over there, that beat, just to make them feel happy. But I put the rubber to the road when there's certain songs I will not play. You can fire me. You cannot pay me. I'll pack up my stuff right now. I'm out.
Come on, but let me give that a hand.
Free DJ.
Come on, man. I got stories. We don't have enough time. We are tuned in. You are tuned in. All of us right now are locked in with our brother, student minister Arthur Muhammad. You're watching the Rockwell Radio Show. And dear brother, I'm at the closeout question here. I came across this particular clip I'm about to play for you years ago. And it stuck with me, and I want to play it for you today. You'll see soon why. I think it applies here. I apologize in advance because some of the language is a little colorful, but I think that it helps with the point that he's getting to make here. Watch this clip, and I'll ask the question on the other side of this clip. Watch this.
Who are the prominent NOI guys, like in terms of current rappers? I know Jay Electronica, right? He's dope.
I mean, he be around them. I don't know
if he's
official NOI. Yeah, I love.
He wears the chains.
Dope. I like there's not, from what I know, there's not a lot of NOI rappers. There never was, like, because I feel like being that type of a Muslim, you know, it doesn't really lend itself to being a rapper. You see what I'm saying? Like, especially with that suit and tie style and all of that back in the days. Like, you know, for instance, I had a brother named that I came up with from Mount Vernon. He actually rose up in the Nation of Islam pretty high. His name was Arthur X. And he was a rapper. He was originally, his name was Kid Dust. Back in the days when, you know, motherfuckers used to smoke dust and shit. But he became Arthur X, and he still was kind of rhyming, but it was weird, you know, seeing Arthur X from the Nation of Islam, like, you know, and he had his tie on, and it's just, yeah.
Dear brother.
Yes, sir.
Now, I don't think, first of all, let me say I love brand new music. Obviously, I love Brother Lord Jamal.
I went to high school. With Sadat X and
how about
DJ Alamo. I was with Grand Poobah 2 days ago.
Come on,
I met Jamal, and I didn't take any offense to his comments.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going.
Because, you know, remember, hip hop is about free expression.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that free expression, you got cursing, you got weed, you have some misogyny. And so when I entered into the rap game as a Muslim, I was a different person before I was a Muslim. So I wanted to stay in a straitjacket. And in fact, I see some of the younger artists in the Nation of Islam struggle to find themselves. And many times when they try to be Muslim-ish and street-ish, it's like having one foot on land and other foot on a banana peel and about to go into a ditch. And so I'd rather go out as Arthur X from the Nation of Islam and have my pride, have my morals, my scruples, and know that when I had my 15 minutes of fame, I didn't sell out. See, the God that I serve who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, is going to
Listen.
give us the victory for staying righteous. So I realized that there was no room for a straight jacket. So what we have to do, artists in the nation, instead of trying to how cool we are, we need to develop this promotional and distribution network within us. If there is 40,000 of us, there's at least a potential of 20,000 consumer base that we can support our artists.
Come
And
on.
then whatever they do outside of the world is okay. But as long as Muslim artists try to appeal to the people in the world, they will never accept them as truly street or as truly quote unquote hip hop, because there are things that we will not do. And I've seen some struggle. When you curse, bro, you don't even sound convincing.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Accept your own and
be yourself.
My brother.
Brother, I didn't even, if y'all notice, I didn't even get the question out, but he answered it as if he knew the question already. Brother, wow. This applause is for you, dear brother. Wow. We've reached the end of the Rockwell Radio Show. And again, you literally knocked that out the park with exactly where I wanted to go. Literally, word for word with where I wanted to go with that. Brother, again, we thank you. We want to offer, as we do all of our guests, an opportunity for you to have the closing words, anything you'd like to share with the Rockwell Radio Show watchers and listeners.
It is my prayer that Allah increases you, Brother Vaughn. I've followed you, brother, and I've seen the way you have been enduring the tragedy that you had in your life with the unexpected loss of your son.
Yes, sir.
And you keeping an upbeat spirit, and you motivate and inspire us around the nation. I don't know if you know how much love you have for you being you. So I just ask Allah to increase you and increase your family, brother, and increase your ability to make people smile by being authentically yourself. May Allah bless you, Aki.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our brother, Student Minister Arthur Muhammad of Mosque number 7 in New York City. Brother, tell the people where they can come to visit you if they're in the city.
Man, listen, at 11 o'clock, come to Muhammad Mosque number 7 on 127th Street off of Lenox Avenue. Or you can go to our Brooklyn Mosque, which is on 202 Pennsylvania Avenue. If you're not the type that wakes up early, we're in Queens on Merrick Boulevard at 2 o'clock, or right over in northern New Jersey, in Inglewood, New Jersey at the Elks Lodge at 2 o'clock. And we're about to open up in the Bronx on the 14th. We'll be on White Plains Road in the Bronx. Go to noinewyork.org for further information.
Brothers and sisters, you heard it live right here from our brother, Student Minister Arthur Muhammad. This is the end. Thank you, brother. You're welcome here on the Rockwell Radio Show anytime. This platform is your platform. We will see y'all next week. We are out of here.
Now, if you got past all of that, you might as well keep on rocking with us. So come on, everybody, let's go. The radio show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. Everybody, Rockwell Radio Show. Let me shoot you Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. Subscribe. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show.
Come on now, y'all.
It was a dope episode, man. Come on, man. Top tripping.